a holly jolly Christmas, wild ones. It's Bernadette. I'm here with your Pick a Card Daily Tarot reading for Thursday, December 23rd, 2020. One more sleep until Santa gets here. And, this is crazy. You can't make this stuff up. I had my red on, right? Because Thursdays are ruled by the heart chakra. And yes, I know that the chakra's color is green, but hearts really are red, y'all. So I put on red. And Jupiter is the ruling planet for today. And it's, that's about expansion. It's about, oh my gosh, I got to get this done. But I was going to give you a break with the headbands. I was going to give you a break with the Christmas headbands. I got a lot of fun email. Thank y'all yesterday about the lights. They really were lit up, y'all. There's battery inside, and they really were lit up. And I was going to give you a break, and then I sat down and I pulled a card. You cannot make this up. The Hierophant, the Stag. Okay, why am I laughing and why am I wearing reindeer horns? Are you kidding me? A deer shows up on Christmas Eve. That just slays me. Get it? Slay me? Okay, listen. Give me a second to collect myself, because I spit my iced tea out when I pulled the card. I really did. I spit it all over my keyboard and everything. Had to text my sister. You're never gonna guess what card came out this morning. So let me jump right into the symbolism, because the Hierophant would not really kind of seem like an energy or an energy that would come out at this time of year, especially on like a Christmas Eve, right? But it really actually is the right card, because just a couple days ago, and I would really encourage you to take note of all of the Major Arcana cards that have come out just in the past week so far. I'd have to go back and look, but there's at least 2 or 3. I know this is number 2 or 3 or 4. It's been a little crazy. And, the Hierophant at the end of the day, just looking at the traditional Rider-Waite meanings of this particular tarot card, it's about spirituality in its highest form, but it's about traditional spirituality. Now, it can be said that it represents any kind of spiritual or religious doctrine as a path to a spiritual progression. I don't like to use the R word. We try not to use the R word around here. But sometimes by following the tenets, the very specific tenets of a very specific religion, you will find your way to a higher enlightenment. And you may not drift away, but you may, take all that particular religion has to offer and take with it what you want and then move on to another one. But it is about tradition, and it is about values, and it is about valor. When when the Stag wanted to be the Hierophant, it made perfect sense to me, because when you look at the gray pillars on the Hierophant's card, that represents the principles of that religious doctrine that work in perfect balance and harmony. And that's why, a lot of religions are really, even spiritual paths, are really serious about their followers following kind of a memorized ritual or practicing a particular devotional in a particular kind of way at a particular time of day. There's a rhythm that sends out into the universe. There's like this undulation. It's almost like a drum beat, a calling out to the universe, to God, to your angels, to your guides, your spirit guides, whatever. And it's not flexible. And, listen, Bernadette says stay wild about every third sentence, right? And when I see things that are constricting like that, my immediate reaction is to run away. My immediate reaction is to stand my ground and say nope. However, there are basic principles that are true that might seem a little constricting, but you do have the choice whether to follow them or not follow them. And so on this day, on a Thursday, when you've got to get things done, what is it that you're feeling in your heart chakra? What kind of uh, business, because, the Hierophant is a card of big business, of traditional business. And as a person who's been in business for herself, oh gosh, since I was 24, 20, yeah, since I was 24 or 25, I've always owned my own business. I have had to be successful, follow particular rules. And some of those rules I didn't like, and some of them I didn't think were fair, and it didn't matter. If I wanted to be successful, there are certain things that I had to follow. And it, 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 this card in some ways asks you to color inside of the lines, but that's not the constrictive, choking thing that it might seem to go by the book. The Hierophant is kind of like, okay, in Dan Brown's novel, The Da Vinci Code, right? There's all this symbolism of, traditional symbols and scriptures and rituals and traditions. And the crossed keys before the Hierophant's feet signify that the outer or exoteric form of the spiritual doctrine is preserving its hidden esoteric mysteries. Now that might seem like a what? But what that means is, by following your faith, by learning its doctrines, by practicing its doctrines, the efforts will pay off in the end. So for instance, I fortunately, I have a lot of advice about being a YouTuber, because apparently I'm a YouTuber now. It cracks me up. And some of those things I really don't want to follow. I haven't even moved yet to do what, and believe me, this is business. I love doing it. And I love sharing the animal wisdom and the tarot wisdom and all their teachings and their symbolism and, all of that. I love it. It's my passion. But I have to eat, clearly. I have to feed my cats. I've got to pay my mortgage. I've got, I have real world things. And so I have no choice. If I want to sustain this, I've got no choice but to turn my attention to how to make money doing it, at least in some way. Now, I don't do anything small. So if I'm going to do something, if I'm going to include it in my business, I'm going to set every expectation that, it's going to be successful, what successful means to me. And one of those things that I just have resisted doing for months now, I'm going to get to it. I am. But I just don't want to start out every video by saying, subscribe to my YouTube channel, make it, pick up a copy of your arc, ring that bell, blah, 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 please share this video. And the most successful YouTubers do that. And I understand why they do that. I just don't want to. Now, I'm going to have to get there, right? But it's a tradition that I should do that, because it will help me do bigger business, which is a lot what this card is about. What I know in my conscious mind, but I haven't figured out how to digest it in my spiritual mind, is when you guys do share these videos or you talk about the readings or whatever, and another person resonates and they either just come and watch or they subscribe to the YouTube channel or a newsletter, that's another person that is receiving the spiritual nature of the tarot readings, of the spirit totem power animals, of the animal spirit guides. They're learning more about their own psychic ability, their own mediumship ability, their own shamanic practice, their shamanic abilities. And I understand what the outcome really, the important outcome really is. But I'm really resistant to that. So today I would, listen, it's Christmas Eve. I hope you're baking cookies, pies, chatting it up with friends, having a mimosa or a Bloody Mary, or even a morning margarita. I hope you're doing that. And as you're doing that, just give consideration to what traditions or beliefs or doctrines that you're ready to start following and willing to start following, because nobility really is part of this reading. And what that means is there are all kinds of ways to be noble, but this card is definitely a card of teaching, of sharing information. So you're either on a path to learn more and become an expert, and y'all, there's no such thing as an expert tarot person or an expert animal spirit, totem of power animal, or an expert shaman. What does that even mean? What are the barometers for that? What are the gauges for? There's not. So somebody can be very well versed. They can be highly respected. They can be amazing at what they do, but don't try to move forward with your learning. Or this might even be a call for you to be teaching and sharing your experiences and sharing your esoteric wisdom and knowledge, your spiritual, whatever that is. Whatever that is, there might be a call for you to be becoming the teacher. So that said, when I talk about nobility, when you take on a responsibility like that, it really is a responsibility. And coming at that from the purest place, but understanding that what you're going to say and what you're going to do or what you're going to learn is of vital importance to you and the world around you is a big message for today. The other thing is, when you take a look at why stag, and I'm just going to include reindeer in this, right, you guys? I mean, what's a deer? What's the difference between a reindeer and a deer? Not so much, really. Which, by the way, I just have to share this. For this card, it's taken on an additional meaning to me. Even though on my site, whatismyspiritanimal.com, I do differentiate. I've got an article about the symbolism and meaning of deer, stag, that kind of thing, and then a separate article about reindeer, because they do have a little bit of alternate meanings, and it was only fair, really, I think, to each critter to keep them different. But I don't know if you guys know this or not, but in the winter, female deer are the only deer that retain their horns. The males, they shed their horns to grow new horns for the next season. So when we see those pictures of Santa everywhere and all the reindeer have horns, they're girls, they're women. And isn't that interesting? Now I can make all kind of jokes, and God knows I want to, but I won't, because I love I love everybody. But you got a whole team of women, plowing, traipsing all over the world with this big jolly fella in the back of this sleigh. And it just can speak to so many things about the feminine divine and the masculine divine and working together to accomplish big things. And, it can mean all kinds of things. But for me now, when I see this card, I do step into the energy of my client with, is there some kind of thing going on around their feminine divine being hidden or masked or subdued? Is there something within the masculine divine, and this is whether I'm talking to a male or a female, is there something within the masculine divine that they are afraid to step into a position of leadership? Because let's take it, Santa's the grand poobah of of the North Pole. He's the cheese. And are you having a problem being a cheese? Because when you pull the Hierophant card and you're talking about big business, now this could be business as relates to a business where you have a business there where you make money, or it could be your personal business where there are relationships to be considered and moves to be considered and children to be considered or pets to be considered. It can be all kinds of things that are big business, but you've got to stay noble. You've got to walk with tradition through this. You've got to keep your intentions pure. And when you're not sure if you're crossing the line or you're about to cross the line, you can use stag or reindeer's antlers as an additional antenna to go up to the higher realms and tune into those messages so you can download them, right? The other thing about deer is, I won't even get into the subject of hunting. We won't talk about that today or any other day. But when a deer a deer is being pursued, a stag, a deer, I grew up in the woods, y'all, and there is nothing more breathtaking than early in the morning or late at night, or really any kind of time of the day. And all of a sudden you hear this quiet and you stop, like, to just stop, stand still. Why is everything so quiet? And you turn around slowly and you look, and there is this majestic, humongous, just stag with his horns, just like it is in the card. And he's turned around and he's looked at you. And if you look at this stance, that is a stance that says, I'm the king here. But look at the gentleness of the eyes. Look at the gentleness of the face. So for those of you that are having a challenge stepping into a position of leadership to become the big cheese because you're afraid it will make you a particular way, don't be afraid. You can maintain your humanity, your compassion, your everything, which is what this card is calling for you to do, is to realize that that's a nobility. But when you look at that, you don't want to mess with that. First of all, you're not going to be able to catch him. That's number one. And if y'all haven't seen that video, see, I want to say the word, but I'm going to be noble. I'm not going to say the word. There is a hunter trying to sneak up on a stag, and that stag turns around and he rears up and he says, bam, 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 with his hooves, and that guy goes, wah! If you guys haven't seen that video flying around on YouTube and, the social media, find it. Because you're like, yes, go stag, whoop, whoop, float like a butterfly, sting like a stag. And there is a great amount of power in that, and I'll tell you why. When I first downloaded the Arc Tarot and I started talking to some people about it to get, just some insight, and I was told to make the cards larger than normal. I was told only use pictures of real animals, and so they are, except for, of course, the mythological animals and the fantasy animals. But although some of those are made with real animals, and then other things are real humans and other things graphically put into them, I was told by several people that's too much. It's too powerful. People won't buy that because you've got these animals looking dead at you in the eye, and that is making me draw back like that. And I'm like, but yeah, isn't this what this is all about? Is for these animals to help them claim their own power, to step into their own power, to better connect with their truer traditional self, the self that they really are. And so I poo-pooed those people and went ahead. And then I was told, don't invest in writing a 300 and something page book. People don't read the books of tarot decks. They don't do it. They throw it away. Of course they throw it away because it comes as a little 30-page black and white. The print is this small. It regurgitates the same stuff as others do, and not all of them do. I am not dissing other tarot decks. Y'all own hundreds of them, and I love them. But after you've read one thing about tarot meanings for the 50,000 billionth time, what else does somebody have to say? And then they were like, well, they can get all that information about the spirit tone and power animals from your websites. They can get the tarot meanings from your websites. Don't invest in all of that. Don't tell them about, numerology. Don't tell them about color symbolism. Don't tell them about the cardinal directions. They can get all that someplace else. But how would you know to do that if it weren't in the book? A beginner wouldn't. I know a lot of people, even farther down the road that have been reading for years that are like, I never thought of that. And I get so many emails about this book. And, you guys, as you know, the Arc has just swept all the major competitions, the tarot competitions this year. Product of the year, tarot deck of the year, this of the year, that of the year. It's a bestseller. It's this, it's that. It's made history making all of that. Because I followed my truest traditional self. So what's traditional? And in that, it was a religious experience. It was a spiritual experience. It was a call for me to trust my own instincts, to stay noble to the cause that I knew that I was being called to do. And I knew that I knew that I knew that I knew it. And it didn't matter what anybody said. I did it anyway. And look what's come of it. So when you're taking a look at the sacred symbolism, the spiritual meaning of stag, understand that no matter what's coming after you, who's coming after you, who the naysayers are, and that includes yourself, the Hierophant and the Stag will help you leap over those barriers like that. It will give you the courage. It will give you the power. It will give you the strength to guide you through all the daunting times and all the daunting people. The other thing is when you, sorry, you know what? I'm going to wrap this up, and here's what I'm going to tell you. We're done here, because here's what's just told to me. Whatever holy quest, it is a holy quest, especially if you're being called to teach, to share your stories, to guide people in some way in your own vertical. That could be painting, it could be tarot cards, it could be psychic development, it could be, maybe you're a physician's assistant, maybe you're a mechanic, maybe you're a handyman, maybe you're a cook. It doesn't matter what you are, whatever trajectory you've decided to be on. It is a holy quest. And Hierophant and Stag are going to help you on that holy quest. Lord, I want to sing Oh Holy Night. I want to turn into Mahalia Jackson and sing Oh Holy Night. But I'm going to leave it at that. And I really hope that this is helpful to you, because remember, today's the 23rd. That means you have, 8 more days? 7 days? 8 days? To start working through and considering what your holy quest is, what you want to do, what you're investing in. And if you just will stay noble to your own cause and keep that cause noble, I think I'm stuttering, because the energy that I feel from that, it's not overwhelming, but man, is it filling me up. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have just the most beautiful holiday. I will be here for Christmas tomorrow. It will be a short reading. And because I've got stuffing to make and, all that kind of thing. But y'all, when you dream your dreams tonight and you set out cookies for Santa, have a couple cookies, have some spiked eggnog. Just celebrate everything that this season means. Even if you're not a Christmas person, you're more a Yule person, or you're more a not, or you're that. Just consecrate this day in your own way and mark it as the day that stags and reindeer and all that that means really seated in your spirit, really seated in your heart. And by the time you wake up tomorrow, all that, the transformation is going to be quite something very special. So, of all things, you have to stay wild and have a great season.